Hello, good afternoon. This is a collection video of my Fast and the Furious collection. I've been a fan of this franchise ever since it came out way back in 2001, I believe the first one was. I was really young back then, I was like 7 or 8 years old, so yeah, I collected them first on DVD. I bought a collection of 1 to 5, which is this one. So this is my first one I'm going to show you. These are DVDs, so I do have Blu-rays as well, but this is 1 to 5. At the time, I think I had a PS3. I still use my PS3, but Blu-rays were quite expensive, still around 2011 when this came out, I think. It came out like sort of with the DVD of Fast 5 around that time. So yeah, it's got a little slip cover on it. Quite nicely presented in here. So we've got first film, Fast and the Furious. It's one of my favourites, the first one. I watched it the other week actually. It's not aged too badly. Too Fast, Too Furious. I do like this one as well. Tends to be people's less favourite of the series, but I still think it's really cool. Not as good as the first one. I think it suffered not having Vin Diesel, but Tyrese Gibson did a really good job as Roman. So the next one in the series, Tokyo Drift. It was a slight deviation from the last two, completely new cast, obviously set in Tokyo. I thought the racing was really cool. They tried to do something new, and I applaud them for that. Still a really good film. Next up is Fast and Furious, otherwise known as Fast and Furious 4, but not officially called that. This was like a sort of, not really a reboot, but it brought back the original cast from the first film, and it set up the franchise to go in a new direction, really. And yeah, it was a good like a good start again. I think it's underrated, this film. It's good. I like it. And then Fast 5, one of the best in the series. Not my favourite. You're probably expecting this to be my favourite, like it is for a lot of people. But yeah, it's still up there. It's probably my third favourite. But I'll get to my favourites in a bit. So yeah, Fast 5. The first film with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Really good choice to put him in the film. It really made the film for me. So yeah, that's my complete, well, it says complete collection. It was complete at the time because we only had 1 to 5 when this came out. So there's the back there. Really cool. I'm probably going to keep this because it's just nostalgic for me. It was my first Fast and Furious collection. And the DVDs are really nice. The artwork on them. And yeah, it's just good to have backup DVDs if you're ever at a friend's house or something and they don't have a Blu-ray player or a PlayStation. So yeah, that's the 1 to 5. Now we'll look at my Blu-rays. I got these, the first 3, the Fast and Furious, 2 Fast and Furious and Tokyo Drift. I got these recently. I'll just start off with this one, Fast and Furious. Got this one sent to me, and I thought it was good at first, because I'm a bit OCD. I like to have everything matching. So I ordered this one, and I ordered 2 Fast 2 Furious, and they sent me just the disc of 2 Fast 2 Furious. And then I got Tokyo Drift, which these two are actually matching. So you can see they line up fairly well there. Because they didn't send me the case for 2 Fast 2 Furious, I sort of wrapped on this, and I thought I'd just order them again. So, I mean, I would like to sell these, give them away, because I've got them elsewhere in my collection now. So, yeah. Fast and Furious actually came with a bonus disc, DVD there. There's the Blu-ray. Tokyo Drift, just ultraviolet, like pamphlet thing there with the code, and there's the Blu-ray itself. So, if anybody is interested in having these two, do message me, because I would like to get rid of them, because I've got them in my collection. So starting off, Fast and the Furious, and I am keeping this. It really matches up nicely with the other two. So the first one in the franchise, there it is there. I think it's the same disc as this one in my other Fast and Furious, but so yeah, that's the first one. If I was to give, I'm going to give them all a rating out of 10. I'd give the first one a 7 out of 10. It's a classic, it is good. Doesn't quite hold up to today's standards, but it's still a good watch. If you're going to show this to like your kids that have never seen it before, they'd still really enjoy it today. So yeah, I do really like Fast and Furious, holds a special place in my heart. So that's the first one. Too Fast, Too Furious. See, you can already see they're matching up nicely already. Got the number 2 there, number 1 on the first one. I like Too Fast, Too Furious, as I said before. I think, honestly, I think it matches the first one in quality. It took a weird direction with the story. I wish they carried on the first one into this one with the story, but they sort of had to take a different story because obviously Vin Diesel, Dominic Toretto, his character, didn't come back. But with what they had, they did a really good job. So I'd say 7 as well, 7 out of 10. Next up, Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift. Again, matches up nicely with the first two. See on the spines there, they all match up pretty nicely. So, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Yeah, Tokyo Drift. Again, went in a completely different direction. New cast. Lucas Black played Sean Boswell in this. The acting's a bit meh at times. I still like this film though. I appreciate what they tried to do. I'm going to have to give it a slightly less rating though. I do still like it, but I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It just doesn't hold as much. It's just not as nostalgic for me as the other two. And it's slightly less forgettable. But still, I still like it though. But 6 out of 10. Next up, Fast and Furious. It doesn't match these three. I have got this one on order with the orange font and the number 4 on the side. So I will be looking to give this one away when I've got that. But yeah, this is the 4th one in the series. This is, in my opinion, the most underrated film in the franchise. It did a lot for the series, bringing it back. The story, it wasn't fantastic, to be perfectly honest. It got a bit kind of convoluted at times, but it set up 5 really well, bringing back the characters. I love some of the scenes in here. I love the racing. There's one really good racing scene with Vin and Paul Walker, where the skyline comes back. Really good, different skyline to what was in Too Fast, Too Furious, but still great film. I'm actually going to give this an 8 out of 10. I do. You probably think that's a bit weird, but I think this is better than the first one. But the first one's more nostalgic. They're both equal in quality, but I really like how they sort of brought the series back. They just kicked it into another gear, or they kind of set the groundwork in place. And yeah, really like this film. 8 out of 10. Fast 5. Everybody loves this film, myself included. And I think I even got a DVD copy with it. So, oh, my bad. The DVD, the Blu-ray just came out there. I think this one comes with a digital, some little pamphlet things as well, digital code. Don't know if it still works. Probably does. Probably won't ever use it, but... Oh no, it's not valid after 2012, so that was quite some time ago. But yeah, nice spine there, matches up quite well with the others. And yeah, this film was awesome. They really kick-started the franchise again from here, made it more of like a heist movie. I'm not going to go into the plot because, you know, these films have been out a while, so people know the story pretty much. But the action, the fight scenes, Vin Diesel there and The Rock, the showdown they had was just awesome. I can watch that scene so many times. The bank, getting the bank at the end, the chase with that, and there's just smashing buildings and banks, and just there's chaos going everywhere, police cars chasing after them. It's just fantastic. Yeah, I have to give this film a 9 out of 10. Solid. The next two films are up there with my favourites. This is my third favourite, and this is my number one favourite film in the Fast and Furious franchise. Fast and Furious 6. It was just more of Fast 5. It was like Fast and Furious 5 juiced up to the max. They knew what they were at this point. They knew what the franchise was, where it was going. If you look at these two, they are completely different now, from the first one to the sixth one. But I love that, you know. I love that it became less about street racing. Yes, they did do a nice homage to that with Vin. Sorry, I'll say their names: Dominic Toretto and Letty. They had a brief street race in this. That was cool though. I like how there's a lot of action in the later ones, more than the earlier ones. The stakes are higher. I love Owen Shaw's character, the villain in this, and how that sets up everything in Fast and Furious 7. Oh, there's so much to talk about in this movie. Tanks, high-speed chases, the runway scene at the end when Dominic Toretto just blasts out the front of the plane and it explodes. It's just, yeah, this is my favourite. People tend to sort of argue between these two as their favourites, but for me, this is the best one. And for me, 7 is better than 5. This is Fast and Furious 7. I think this one gets a lot of flack. People seem to think, oh, it's just gets sympathy because the late Paul Walker and his passing, but I think they ramped up everything that was in 6. They ramped it up well for 7, and they carried on the action well. Possibly at times the film kind of stalled a little bit, but it was progressing. It kept going. I love the scenes with the cars when they're like parachuting out of the sky. The comedy in this film was on point. You know, Roman, really funny when he was kind of like doing this, praying to God when he didn't want to he didn't want to jump out of the plane with his car, but I think it was Tej, Ludacris's character, like beep, press a button and he just comes out. He's got no choice. I love the whole sort of hunting thing in this film. The fact that Deckard Shaw, played by Jason Statham there, he was hunting the crew, and how I think it was the rabbit. They used something called the rabbit's eye. So they got this character Ramsey. I don't know the actress who plays her. I can't remember her name. But she's like the sort of hacker in the film. She's like the female version of Tej. So they use her they use the God's Eye to then sort of locate Deckard. There's just so much action again in this film. That's why I think it's a cut above 5, but I think 6 was the first one for me that really had loads of action. I think 6 has a little bit more action than this, but 7 has to be second purely as well. They did do a beautiful send-off of Paul Walker at the end. Really touching scenes. And yeah, I don't know what else to say on this one other than it's a beautiful film. I give both 6 and 7 as well 9s out of 10. So that leaves one more in the franchise so far, and that is Fast and Furious 8. Now, at first, from the trailers, I was quite optimistic about this film. I don't want to leave this all on a bad note, but this is my least favourite in the franchise. Purely just because Fast and Furious 7 wrapped things up beautifully, and if I'm being honest, I think they should have stopped there because all the story ends were tied up. But I do think Charlize Theron, her character did bring another layer to this film, probably the best villain they've had yet. The fact that, you know, they used Dom, they turned Dom on the family. I thought that was good. It was a bit shoehorned in though. I think by this point the films are becoming a bit of like a parody of themselves. They're a bit like the Expendables now. I'd love to see Fast and Furious 9 more like a combination of 5 and 6 with elements of 7. That will make for an awesome film. I just think the whole family thing, it wasn't so strong in this film, and I don't know if that's because Paul Walker, Brian O'Connor, his character isn't in it anymore. Obviously, he can't be. But I just felt as well the acting was more. It was a bit hokey. It was a bit reminiscent of the second one for me. The acting wasn't as good. I do know they got a different director on this one. Justin Lin didn't return. Someone else, and you can see that. So, yeah, I'm going to have to give this a 6 out of 10. I know that's a really low rating, but on the whole, I'm so glad it doesn't damage the actual franchise for me, because I can still watch this and enjoy it. It's just not my favourite. So my top 3, these 3, they're awesome, these films. Fast 5, Fast 6, Fast 7. Fast and Furious is in the middle for me. Love that film. These 3 are nostalgic for me. I do like them all. But I'd have to say my least favourites in the franchise are Tokyo Drift and Fast and Furious 8, even though I do still quite like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. So, wrapping things up then. The Fast and Furious, the first one. Too Fast, Too Furious. The Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Fast and Furious. Fast Furious 5. Fast and Furious 6, there's so many of them. Fast and Furious 7, Fast and Furious 8. That is all of them there. See that? They look pretty cool together. Hobbs and Shaw is coming out in August, starring Jason Statham as Deckard Shaw, his character, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Luke Hobbs. That's going to be cool. It's going to be over the top. I'm just hoping and praying it's better than Fast and Furious 8. And then I'm hoping next year we get Fast and Furious 9, and it's more of like a return to the series, more like Fast and Furious 5, 6, with slight elements of 7, getting more of that emotional vibe from 7. If they can get that in and bring back more of the family, it will be a sweet film for me. So yeah, that's going to hopefully come out in 2020. This video is nearly 20 minutes long, but yeah, love the franchise. on the whole, it is my favourite movie franchise. It's such a good fun. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. Peace. Ciao, ciao.